Bees, Extinction and Decline of the Species, presented by Sue Wills, Curtin University. Methodology. When researching this topic, I used Google with keywords as bee decline, extinction, neonicotinoids. Websites such as Scoodle gave direct links to the Australian curriculum. The most difficult part of this research was narrowing down the information available and making sure it was not biased. Bee numbers have been declining in the last 30 years, with some bee species extinct and several on the endangered species list. Bee pollination is essential to plant reproduction. 75% of world crops depend on pollination by animals, most often bees. 1 out of every 3 mouthfuls of food eaten is a direct result of pollination by bees. The European honeybee contributes directly to the Australian economy. Pesticides have been directly linked to the death of many bees in North America and Europe. Bees often live near genetically modified crops and flowers. The pesticides like neonicotinoids are harmful to bees as they stain the plant's biological system permanently. Research has indicated bees exposed to these pesticides showed significant rise in their failure to resist infection and attacks from the Nosema parasite and varroa mite. Even chemicals that have been deemed safe for bees are hazardous. Bees that have been exposed to these chemicals die due to their inability to fend off attacks. This inability leads to colony collapse disorder phenomena, where worker bees disappear from the hive, leaving the queen behind. Hives cannot be sustained without worker bees, and the hive will eventually die. The graph indicates the rate of decline in bee colonies in the United States over the past 60 years. After the parasitic mites were introduced, there was a marked decline in bee colonies, and this decline continues today. According to USSDA figures, the death of honeybees has increased 42% over the last year. To counteract this decline, government agencies are enforcing strict labelling guidelines for chemicals that may be harmful to bees. Current research by the CSIRO in Australia is aimed at improving honeybee pollination and productivity in farms, as well as investigating the drivers for colony collapse disorder. The CSIRO has fitted 5,000 bees with microsensors. These sensors send data back to researchers on pollinating and foraging habits of bees. The varroa mite is a major threat to Australian honeybee pollinators and plant industries. If varroa mite were to become established in Australia, the population of bees would decrease by 90 to 100%. The Department of Agriculture and Water undertakes a range of activities to prevent entry of this mite into Australia. The decline and possible extinction of the honeybee is a major concern globally, with many agencies putting procedures in place to stop or slow the decline. There is an urgent need to stop chemical use in agriculture and move towards ecological farming. By changing the way we farm and using ecological farming methods with no chemicals, the bee population will survive. Ecological farming is already being practiced on large geographic scales in Europe. Everyone can help save the bee by using no chemicals in the gardens or yards, planting bee-friendly flowers or herbs, and having water around for bees to drink will help the species increase in numbers and slow the decline. Without bees, humans will struggle to survive. A world without bees is not pretty. We need to save the bees. There is no shortage of information on the internet regarding this global issue. Most websites were reliable with evidence-based information. This topic is embedded in the Australian curriculum and suits Year 4 Science and Year 6 Design and Technologies Knowledge and Understanding.
Created using Powtoon.